You're good. All right, we are live. Good evening, welcome. This is a regularly scheduled meeting of the Bangor City Council. Today is Monday, June 10th, 2024 at 7:30 p.m. We begin our meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance. I'd like to ask Economic Development Director Ann Cree, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Tonight we have a proclamation proclaiming June 19th as Juneteenth. Councilor Yakabaga.
Whereas the first Juneteenth celebration was in 1866, a year after Union soldiers led by Major General Gordon Granger landed at Galveston, Texas on June 19, 1865, with the news that the war had ended in April and that the enslaved were now free. And whereas this announcement was 2.5 years after President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1, 1863, that all persons held as slaves within the rebellious states are, and henceforward shall be free. And whereas Juneteenth commemorates the determination of the people who were seized and brought to this country from Africa, and whose descendants were slaves for over 200 years before the horrific institution of slavery was abolished. And whereas Juneteenth commemorates that moment in time when the enslaved in Galveston, Texas received word of their freedom. As an anonymous celebrant said, we imagine the depth of their emotions, their jubilant dance, and their fear of the unknown. And whereas the city of Bangor believes it's important to recognize the historical significance of Juneteenth in order to advance racial equity, human dignity, and justice. And whereas Juneteenth, the oldest nationally celebrated commemoration of the ending of slavery in the United States, and what many people consider to be America's second Independence Day observance, is now a federal and state holiday and is also recognized by the city of Bangor. And whereas the city of Bangor acknowledges Black Mainers as disproportionately impacted by poverty, which leads to higher rates of incarceration, food insecurity, and negative health impacts due to systemic racism. And whereas the city of Bangor affirms we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now, therefore, I, Councillor Dina Yakabaga, on behalf of Kara Peltier, Mayor of the City of Bangor, and on behalf of the City Council and the citizens of Bangor, do hereby proclaim June 19, 2024, as Juneteenth to honor African American history and encourage all community members to reflect on how each of us can promote equality, liberty, and justice for all people. And I'm going to accept this proclamation on behalf of the Commission of Racial, Tribal, and Indigenous People in the state of Maine. Thank you.
Thank you. This is the portion of the meeting set aside for public comment. Public comment, whether in person or through Zoom, requires you to state your name and whether you're a resident of Bangor. Inappropriate or offensive remarks will be interrupted and removed. The council chair has discretion over the time allowed for comment. We'll have 60 minutes for public comment. Tonight, each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes for comment, and you'll hear an alarm when your time has elapsed. If you do not live in Bangor or own property in Bangor, please allow those who do live and own property here to have the opportunity to speak first. If you'd like to offer comment on any item not appearing on the regular agenda, please approach the podium. On the Zoom, the public may be recognized to speak by the hand raise function or on the phone by pressing *9.
Good evening. My name is Sonia Maller, and I'm a resident of the city of Bangor. I'm here tonight, though, as the regent of the Francis Dighton Williams chapter, Daughters of the American Revolution. Flag Day in the United States is a day honoring the national flag. observed on June 14th. That's Friday. When the date in the holiday commemorates the date in 1777, when the United States approved the design for its first national flag. The flag has changed many times since 1777. The idea to set aside a day to honor the national flag came from several sources. Bernard Sigrand, a Wisconsin school teacher in 1885, urged his students to observe June 14th as flag birthday. He later wrote an essay published in a Chicago newspaper that urged Americans to proclaim this date as the day to celebrate the flag. In 1888, William T. Kerr of Pennsylvania founded the American Flag Day Association of Western Pennsylvania, an organization to which he dedicated his life. A lesser-known claim is that of George Morris of Connecticut, who is said to have organized the first formal celebration of the day in Hartford in 1861. In 1916, President Woodrow Wilson proclaimed June 14th as the official day for the Flag Day. And in 1949, the U.S. Congress permanently established the date as National Flag Day. Although Flag Day is not an official federal holiday, Pennsylvania celebrates the day as a state holiday. Each year, the U.S. President delivers an address that proclaims the week of June 14th as National Flag Week. And all Americans are encouraged to fly U.S. flags during that week. I'm encouraging the city of Bangor, the city councilors, and the residents of Bangor and the surrounding area to fly the American flag. If they don't fly it every day, at least fly it on June 14th. Thank you.
I'll go.
I'm starting your timer and get there.
I'll do it for you. One for the chief. You make sure he gets one. Good evening. My name is Scott Hardy, and I live in Bangor. Tonight, we are bringing you part 5 of our 12-part series on OPCs, or overdose prevention sites. Tonight's part here of OPCs is how OPCs connect people to recovery. Naloxone distribution, OPCs provide naloxone to reverse overdoses and also offer training on its use for when OPCs are closed. On-site counseling. Many OPCs offer immediate counseling and support after an overdose, helping individuals connect with resources for recovery. Referrals to treatment. OPCs often have partnerships with local treatment centers, making referrals and connections for individuals seeking help. Harm reduction services. OPCs provide services like needle exchanges, wound care, HIV, hepatitis testing, building trust with clients and encouraging them to seek recovery support. Peer support. Trained peers with lived experience in recovery offer support, guidance, and connection to resources. Medical services. Some OPCs offer medical services like substance abuse treatment, mental health care, and primary care, streamlining access to recovery resources. Follow-up support. OPCs often follow up with individuals after an overdose, providing ongoing support and encouragement to seek recovery services. Connecting to recovery housing. OPCs may connect individuals with recovery housing options, providing a supportive environment for recovery. Access to recovery programs. OPCs can enroll individuals in recovery programs such as medicated-assisted treatment or behavioral therapy. Reducing stigma. OPCs help reduce the stigma associated with addiction, making it more comfortable for individuals to seek help and connect with recovery resources. By providing a range of services and connections, overdose prevention centers play a critical role in helping individuals access recovery support. Our society has changed and continues to change. There are less and less consequences to using in our society today. Those who aren't ready to recover need OPCs for harm reduction. For those that may be ready to recover, we need OPCs to connect people to recovery. Let us join together to do this for all the citizens of Bangor, especially the silent majority who would just like to go to the library or the park with their children, or the elderly who feel threatened by the behavior of active drug addicts. Half measures avail us nothing. Thank you.
My name is Tyler. I reside at 89 Ohio Street in Bangor. Overdose prevention centers or supervised consumption sites. Reminder what they are life-saving harm reduction facilities where people who use drugs can consume previously obtained prescription medications or illicit substances under the supervision of trained staff who will intervene in the event of an overdose or any other medical emergency. Recovery for me began, as it does for many others, before I ever even stopped using drugs or alcohol and before I even willingly started going to treatment centers. My recovery began when I decided I wanted to try to use a little less than I did the day before. Recovery was going to the needle exchange for a clean syringe instead of picking up random ones and saying, "Looks good to me." I didn't need a desire to be sober for my recovery to commence. I just needed to make a better choice for my physical and mental well-being. This is where OPCs come into play. The key component to overdose prevention centers is that it's compassionate and welcoming. This is where staff and peer support supplies people who use drugs with meaningful social connections, unused supplies, recovery resources, and more. The nature of the clean, stigma-free environment offers a space for people who use drugs to begin their subconscious journey into recovery. When provided with unconditional acceptance, love, and the resources to bridge the gap between addiction and recovery, people often become curious and eventually want to cross that bridge. Many ordinary people who a lot of addicts and alcoholics refer to as normies may think detox and rehab when recovery is mentioned. Recovery can start long before treatment, and the treatment phase of recovery often initiates in a short duration, high service intensity environment such as detox, emergency departments, hospitalizations, and residential treatments. It's different for everybody, so I'm not going to say the hardest part is after the acute care phase when you integrate back into society, but it's been the hardest part for me. For others, the hardest part of their recovery might be using with someone rather than using alone, or maybe it's letting someone know they are where they are and that they are using, or it's using 2 bags of their drug of choice rather than 3 or more. For those people who find themselves stuck in this early stage of recovery, we need overdose prevention centers to offer more support and pave the way to essential services. Thank you. Any questions? Have a great day.
My name's Wayne Mallor. I live at 103 Essex Street. And I wanted to thank the city manager's office for providing me with some of the information that I asked for last time, but I'm still a little confused, and I guess I need more information. It's my understanding, obviously, we get an opportunity to speak here. I questioned when at a committee meeting we get to speak, if we do, and was told that it's at the discretion of the chair of the committee. So that would indicate to me that we're not allowed to speak at a committee meeting if so the chair so decides. And I have an issue with that because you've disenfranchised the people from expressing themselves, and I'm confused as to why we do that. I also would like to know if, other than the public comment session now, if we follow Robert's Rules of Order. I assume someone probably can tell me. City Solicitor.
We follow Robert's Rules of Order.
Is
as a default, if it's not provided otherwise in our ordinances and state law and such.
Okay. But now, I'm still, would like an answer as to why we can't necessarily speak at committee meetings. I don't know who to go to. I've asked the question of the city manager's office, and I'm not real happy because I don't see anything in the ordinance that states that the chair of the committee has the right to tell you can't talk or ask a question. So I'd expect, someone to be able to answer it.
So as I shared, Wayne, it's not unusual for council chairs or committee chairs to allow public comment during committee meetings.
Not unusual, that.
But it doesn't, your point is it doesn't define the right.
That's
what
right.
your issue is. And
My
we'll make
issue
sure
is
to
I don't see it
incorporate
in
that.
any of the city charter or the city ordinances that say that.
Yep.
So it looks like we've given extra power to the chair if they so desire to use it. And I have an issue with that.
Good evening, my name is Joe Quirk. I'm a resident of Bangor, also work for my family's automotive dealerships in the city of Bangor. Today representing Bangor East Little League, and along with other board members of Dave and Brian, volunteer Lindsay, and their son, a Little Leaguer himself. Real quick, Bangor East Little League's looking for money to put lights up on our field. I started with the ARPA money feels like 2 years ago, and just missed the cutoff by, I think I was 52 or 53, or we were. So Robin reached out to me with the possibility of the community development funding to be able to put lights on the field. We are a complete volunteer board. No one is paid. We 100% raise the money for, we actually own our field, which a lot of people don't realize on the east. So the school doesn't help us, the community, the city doesn't help us, it is all us. We raise the money for the equipment, the insurance, the uniforms. It's all 100% donated by the businesses of Bangor. So the purpose of the lighting is also to extend our playing time and to be safer for the kids on the field. We roughly have about 150 kids that are on our teams, and we are actually busting at the seams with not enough field availability time to get all of our games in the short season that we do. So the lights would really enhance that. I truly believe that the youth is a strong foundation of our community. COVID had one heck of an effect on the kids. I've seen it firsthand in coaching several of the kids. And I actually enjoy coaching baseball so much because the game of baseball, you fail more than you succeed. We want to teach the kids to succeed through failure. And to watch the kids, again, you're going to strike out more than you hit the ball, but to work together, to get the self-confidence, and to see it every day on the baseball field is really an amazing thing. So hopefully with that grant money, we can continue to inspire the youth and give them confidence, work together, be outside, and that's really what we were looking to do for the Bangor East Little League Lighting Fund. So thanks for the consideration, and appreciate all the city council members and what you do. It's a thankless job, and I just want to personally say thank you and have a good night.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? If not, we'll go to Zoom.
My name's Justin Cartier. I'm a resident of the east side of Bangor. I wanted to talk a little bit today about my pride flag, which is right behind Mr. Tremble. The flag that my father and many of our American servicemen and women fought for and died for. It was just a few days ago that we passed the commemoration of D-Day. And instead of flying the American flag high across this city, we're flying flags of everything else, every other color. It seems like that flag has an extra stripe added to it or an extra color added to it. Somebody else that's more important than the men that died and the women that died for the red, white, and blue that flies behind you. As was pointed out earlier, this is Flag Week, and that is the flag we should be flying. The one that the people of this country, the founders of our country, put together, and it's developed over the years and come together. It's what we all rally behind. not for one group or one minority group, for all of us as Americans, all of us to come together. And that's really what we as the people of Bangor and we as Americans need to do, is come together behind the red, white, and blue, my pride flag. Thank you very much.
Councilor Trumbull?
Yeah, I don't usually respond to public comment, but I would just say that no US flag has been displaced for the pride flag. It flies in the city of Bangor. And I think the previous speaker's comments signify why we need to fly the pride flag in Bangor, so I don't apologize for what we just said.
There have never been as many.
Excuse me,
You're
sir,
out of order.
you're no longer at the podium and you're out of time. Is there anyone else wishing to speak?
My name is Hillary Simmons, and I'm a resident of Bangor. I just have a couple questions. I did get a response from the city manager's office, David Warren, in regards to a couple positions within the city that were funded by ARPA money. I still am in disbelief by it, as far as you tell outside entities that are applying for ARPA funds that they cannot be used for salary positions. And then you go ahead and support or fund 3 positions within the city that are ARPA funds, and then that falls back on the taxpayers, those 3 positions. There also are 3 positions within the school department that was funded by ARPA funds. And now who's picking up that burden of those full-time positions when outside entities were told and refused money funds, because if it had to do with salary, it would not be approved? And that's from listening to all of the ARPA committee meetings, point blank, from numerous different council members. So I am still puzzled by why, if outside entities are not allowed to do it, why is it okay to do it for the city and give the burden to the taxpayers of those full-time positions? My other question is, kind of piggyback on one, is the workshops. You have committees, the workshops. Do the workshops have minutes? And are the public able to speak at the workshops? I will say that I did watch a committee meeting, or was in on one, that one person was allowed to speak, and that's the only time I've seen a taxpayer able to talk at a committee meeting. And that was because that person that spoke stood up behind the city councilor that was chairing that position, that particular committee. So I don't think that's correct. If we follow Robert's rules, then that should not be allowed. It needs to be across the board for all committees and all of the workshops. If that's what you're following, are Robert's rules, that's what should be done. Thank you.
I'm Michael Beck. I'm a resident of Bangor as well. I'm here to speak about the opioid settlement money. So far to date, the city, according to the state of Maine, has received $891,000 worth of payments. The last order result that I could find for that money was 11 months ago for the needle exchange program, or the pickup, rather, the part-time pickup for HEAL. And so I'm urging all of you to kind of push to get some more done. There's people dying who life could be saved if that money's invested in our community. That's what that money's for. And I hate to see this drag on. I know we're getting money each year through the year 2038. The payments slow down over time. When it's all said and done, it'll be $3.5 million in Bangor alone. But what I would like to encourage this council to do is reach out to more organizations. There was a listening session at the barn that took place over the weekend, and people came together, and it was a pretty good crowd. And there's a lot of great ideas within the recovery community about how to invest those dollars and how to improve lives and save lives. And so I would encourage the city and encourage the council to find a way to reach out to organizations like the barn and get their input. Perhaps even get them to spearhead putting together some kind of report, something to say, hey, if you invest the money this way, these are the lives we can save, this is what we can do. They know best, people in the recovery community know best, and the goal with that money is to help the people who are harmed by the opioid crisis. This is settlement money, and I would like to see that money get invested in our community to help the people who need it most. Thank you.
Seeing no one else approach, we'll move to online comments. Andrew Clark.
Hello. Hello, my name is Andrew Clark, and I live in Bangor, specifically on 3rd Street. I want to bring attention to the council that there's a huge crisis with the way this street operates. From Cedar to Buck Street, there are no stop signs or speed bumps at all throughout the entirety of 3rd Street. And so as a result, every single day at all hours of the night, we have people speeding upwards of at least 50, 60 miles per hour. It sounds as if there's people drag racing outside my house all day long. And there are plenty of kids who live on this street. A school bus stops through here several times. There's outdoor cats and just generally people. It's not a matter of when it'll be a public safety issue, but it is a guarantee that there will be an accident at some point. And I think if even 2 stop signs or a speed bump could cause a dramatic change in the actual safety of the street. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. I see the city engineers in the back of the room taking notes. And we'll ask if we can have a discussion about a potential traffic study on that street at the next infrastructure meeting.
I'm going to do it right now. I'll put the recorder.
Thank you. Appreciate that. All right, seeing no other hands and no one else approach, public comment is closed. We'll move on to the consent agenda.
Minutes of Bangor City Council regular meeting of May 29th, 2024, Finance Committee meeting of June 3rd, 2024, Business and Economic Development Committee meeting of May 6th, 2024, and Infrastructure Committee meeting of May 20th, 2024. Liquor license renewals, application for liquor license renewal malt wine spirits of New Waverly Restaurant, Inc., doing business as New Waverly Restaurant, Inc., 36 Merchants Plaza. Application for liquor license renewal malt wine spirits of Bangor Grand Aviators, LLC, doing business as Blue Sky Lounge, 357 Odlin Road. Application for liquor license renewal malt wine spirits of Ichiban, doing business as Ichiban, 226 Union Street. Application for liquor license renewal malt wine spirits of Everspring Co. Inc., doing business as Oriental Jade Restaurant, Bangor Beer Company, 320 Bangor Mall Boulevard. 24-172 order authorizing the execution of a municipal quitclaim deed for real estate located at 106 DeWitt Avenue. 24-173 order authorizing the execution of a municipal quitclaim deed for real estate located at 2220 Ohio Street. 24-174 order authorizing the execution of a municipal quitclaim deed for real estate located at East Broadway Extension. 24-175 order authorizing the execution of a contract with Maine Municipal Association for third-party administrator, TPA, services for the city's workers' compensation program. 24-176 order authorizing the city manager to apply for a University of Southern Maine Data Innovation Fellow for the Bangor Public Health and Community Services Department. 24-177 order assuring and certifying the city's compliance with certain requirements for FY24 Community Development Block Grant funds. 24-178 order appointing the city manager as the certifying officer to comply with the National Environmental Protection Act.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Move the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Questions or comments? Seeing none, consent agenda has passage. Referrals to committee and first reading.
24-179 ordinance amending Chapter 148 of the Code of the City of Bangor by including the Main Stages Building as a Historic Landmark, first reading and referral to Historic Preservation Commission meeting on June 13th, 2024. 24-180 ordinance amending Chapter 174 loitering, Section 174-1 to prohibit loitering on narrow medians in high volume or high speed traffic areas, first reading and referral to Government Operations Committee meeting on June 17th, 2024. 24-181 resolve authorizing the city manager to accept and appropriate $38,000 from the Center for Tobacco Independence to provide tobacco treatment in Penobscot County high schools. First reading. 24-182 resolve making an appropriation for the total school budget for the Bangor School Department as required by 28 MRS Section 15690 4A, first reading. 24-183 resolve approving school department estimates of revenue and budget, trust and agency fund, first reading. 24-184 resolve approving school department estimates of revenue from state sources and budget enterprise fund, first reading. 24-185 resolve approving school department estimates of revenue from state sources and budget special revenue fund, first reading. 24-186 resolve making an appropriation of $397,795 for adult education for the Bangor School Department as required by 28 MRS Section 8603A1, first reading. 24-187 resolve vocational education region number 4 appropriation pursuant to Title 20A, Chapter 606, 15601-15619, Maine Revised Statutes, for first reading. 24-188 resolve making an appropriation of $2,180,000 for non-state funded debt service allocation for the Bangor School Department as required by 28 MRS Section 15690 2A, first reading. 24-189 resolve making an appropriation for the Bangor School Department in excess of the minimum spending target established by 28 MRS Section 15671A4, first reading. 24-190 resolve making an appropriation of $19,298,734 for the school district contribution to the total cost of funding public education from pre-K to grade 12 as required by 28 MRS Section 15690 1AB, first reading. 24-191 resolve appropriation for municipal year 2025, first reading. 24-192 resolve making an appropriation for various capital purposes utilizing various reserves, trust and agency accounts and other funds for expenditures to be made during fiscal year 2025, first reading. 24-193 resolve making an appropriation of downtown TIP funds for expenditures to be made in fiscal year 2025, first reading. 24-194 order appropriating $821,576 of fiscal year 2024 Community Development Block Grant funding and $250,000 in anticipated program income, first reading.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Move referral on first reading.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Questions or discussion? Items are referred. Unfinished business.
24-146 resolve accepting and appropriating $200,000 in Maine Emergency Medical Services Stabilization and Sustainability Program funds. Councilor Leonard.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I make a motion on 24-146.
Second.
This resolve will accept and appropriate $200,000 in Maine Emergency Medical Services Stabilization and Sustainability Program grant funds on January 22nd, 2024. The Bangor City Council authorized the fire department to apply for funding under the grant program. As a result of this application, the fire department has been awarded $200,000 with no local match. The funding will be used to enhance training and purchase new equipment. This grant funding will remarkably enhance the stabilization and sustainability of the department's EMS division for years to come. This item was reviewed and recommended for passage at the Finance Committee on May 20th, 2024.
Thank you, Councilor Leonard. We have a motion. We have a second. Questions or discussion on this item? Seeing no doubt, 24-146 has passage.
24-164 ordinance, amending Chapter 165 Land Development Code to increase height allowances in the multifamily and service district and urban service district, and for rooftop solar arrays and rooftop mechanical equipment. Councilor Schaefer.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I move passage of ordinance 24-164.
Second.
The proposed changes would update the city's code of ordinances to increase the maximum height for buildings in the multifamily and service district, MNSD, and urban service district, USD, to 60 feet if located on a lot that fronts a major or minor arterial street. The changes would also allow rooftop mechanical equipment or solar arrays to extend beyond the maximum district height with some stipulations. The proposed changes could make housing projects and redevelopment in general in the MNSD and USD districts more financially feasible and could allow for more units on these lots. The 2022 comprehensive plan suggests that the city revise zoning regulations as needed to support the development of housing within the growth boundary and to remove barriers to development for a variety of housing types. Additionally, the Penobscot Climate Action Plan recommends updating zoning to enable the construction of renewable energy infrastructure on rooftops and other developed areas. This item was reviewed and unanimously recommended for passage at the Planning Board on June 4th, 2024.
Thank you, Councilor Schaefer. We have a motion. Second. Questions or discussion? Ordinance, so we need a roll call vote.
Councilor Dean.
Yes.
Councilor Fish.
Yes.
Councilor Fournier.
Yes.
Councilor Hawes.
Yes.
Councilor Leonard.
Yes.
Councilor Schaefer.
Yes.
Councilor Trumbull.
Yes.
Councilor Yakabaga.
Yes.
Councilor Pelletier.
Yes.
9 yes, 0 no.
Ordinance 24-164 has passage. Next item.
24-166, resolve authorizing the city manager to accept and appropriate $875,589 for the Maine Prevention Network for a 12-month period beginning July 1, 2024. Councilor Fournier.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion for Resolve 24-166.
Second.
This resolve authorizes the city manager to accept and appropriate $875,589 from the Maine Department of Health and Human Services to implement the Maine Prevention Network in the Penquist Public Health District. Bangor Public Health will be responsible for providing prevention services, including substance use prevention, tobacco prevention, and promotion of healthy eating and active living throughout the Penquist Public Health District. Bangor Public Health will provide direct prevention services in Penobscot County and will subcontract direct prevention service provision in Piscataquis County to Northern Light Mayo Community Outreach. Bangor Public Health and Community Services has been providing these prevention services since 2007. The initial period of performance was January 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024. This is a second period of performance with an option of 4 additional extensions ending June 30, 2032. This item was reviewed and recommended at the Finance Committee on May 20th of this year.
Thank you, Councilor Fournier. We have a motion and a second. Questions or discussion on this item? Seeing none, 24-166 has passage.
24-167, resolve authorizing grant amendment to accept and appropriate $423,443 from the Overdose Prevention and Naloxone Distribution Program. Councilor Leonard.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Make a motion on 24-167.
Second.
This resolve would authorize the city manager to amend the overdose prevention and naloxone distribution program from the state of Maine for fiscal year 2024 and accept and appropriate $423,443 of additional funding from the program. On June 12, 2023, 23-159 was passed to accept and appropriate grant funds in the amount of $2,883,130.43 from the Overdose Prevention and Naloxone Distribution Program from the state of Maine for fiscal year 2024. By amending the grant, the city is eligible for an additional $423,443 in FY24. These additional funds will be provided by the state of Maine and will be used to purchase naloxone kits for distribution throughout Aroostook, Washington, Hancock, Piscataquis, and Penobscot counties. The Public Health and Community Services Department has been a recipient of the overdose prevention portion of this grant since 2008. The contract was expanded in 2020 to include naloxone purchase and distribution, and again in 2021 to include kits for emergency responders to leave behind. This item was reviewed and recommended at the Finance Committee on May 20th, 2024.
Thank you, Councillor Leonard. We have a motion and a second. Questions or comments on this item? Seeing none, 24-167 has passage.
24-168, resolve appropriating special assessment funds for Bangor Center Development District expenditures to be made in fiscal year 2025. Councilor Trumbull.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Madam Chair, I move for passage of Resolve 24-168.
Second.
This will appropriate $231,721 in funds from the Maine Municipal Development District Special Assessment for expenditures to be made for the Bangor Center Development District program. Budget highlights include marketing of $78,740.58, beautification of $43,825.09, events $48,282.30, networking and outreach $8,507.69, safety and security $420,000, general and administration $53,621.01 for a total of $652,976.67. The balance of the funding beyond the special assessment funding of $231,721 is comprised of downtown TIP funds and partial support of general and administration costs, funds raised by the downtown partnership through sponsorships, marketing, and events, and anticipate additional funds requested for the services from Street Plus. This was reviewed and recommended at the council workshop on May 15th, 2024, and I would just add, which should be obvious, but it might sometimes isn't, none of these funds are from the general taxpayer of the city. They're all the downtown district or the TIF district, but they don't impact the property tax in the city.
Thank you, Councillor Trumbull. We have a motion. We have a second. Questions or comments?
Hillary Simmons, live in Bangor again. Go back to the meeting before we had at this point for the safety and security. What is the percentage of the, Safety First, or Street Plus, company, like where they're located, other places, what's the benefit to these other places? What's the success? I've been reading different comments in regards to it that they bully people downtown. It's an ambassadorship, but they're bullying patrons. So is this something we want to bring in? We just put a police officer down there, Monday through Friday full time? Let's see if that works. So that's all I have to say. And I appreciate Councilor Turnbull saying that doesn't affect our taxes, but it's still, to me, money.
Seeing no other comments on the issue. Item 24-168 has passage. Next item.
24-169, resolve accepting and appropriating a Maine Historic Preservation Commission Certified Local Government CLG grant in the amount of $15,000. Councilor Dean.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I move passage of Resolve 24-169. This resolve would authorize the city manager to accept and appropriate a grant in the amount of $15,000 with a local match of $3,750 from the Maine Historic Preservation Commission Certified Local Grant Program. At the February 26, 2024 council meeting, the City Council gave staff approval to apply for a $30,000 grant with a local match of $7,500 for conducting a large-scale reconnaissance survey of several historic areas of Bangor, with the potential for designation of new districts or landmarks. Particularly, the application highlighted over 70 potential sites to survey based upon the City of Bangor 2022 Comprehensive Plan, 2021 Parks and Recreation Master Plan, and a 2021 Architectural Survey. The application also included designating funds for public outreach informing community members, developers, and realtors about the recent survey and Bangor historic preservation. The Maine Historic Preservation Commission has awarded the city a grant in the amount of $15,000 with a local match of $3,750. Whereas the award was less than the requested amount, the grant will be used for surveying the State Street mansions and 2 Grange halls in the city, as well as providing educational outreach to developers and realtors. Any remaining funds will be used for expanding the architectural survey of the tree streets and city parks. This item was reviewed and recommended at the Finance Committee on May 20th, 2024.
Second.
Thank you, Councillor Dean. We have a motion. We have a second. Questions or discussion on this item? Seeing none, 24-169 has passage. New business.
Public hearing, 24-195, order authorizing execution and filing with the Department of Housing and Urban Development the FY 2024 Annual Action Plan for FY 2024 Community Development Entitlement Block Grant Funding under Title I of the Housing and Community Development Act of 1974. Councilor Schaefer. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Before I move to open the public hearing, I'm going to read the summary so people know what the public hearing is about. This order will authorize the city's community development block grant program for the coming year. The city expects to receive $821,576 in entitlement community funds. In addition, we estimate that approximately $250,000 will be available in program income primarily as a result of repayments of outstanding property rehabilitation loans. Among the projects eligible to be funded in the coming year are property rehabilitation, economic development, affordable housing, neighborhood improvements, and public service projects. The city's total available federal treasury funds of $1,213,861, representing the balance of prior year allocation, shall be reprogrammed to support the following projects: disposition and property management, neighborhood public improvements, business development, and nonprofit grants, and the neighborhood revitalization and stabilization efforts. These funds shall be expended toward the uses as described in the project and available resources included in the attachment. This item was reviewed and recommended at the Business and Economic Development Committee meeting on April 17th, 2024. With that, I move to open the public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Public hearing is open.
Hello again, Michael Beck, resident of Bangor. Here to speak in favor of the CDBG action plan. I had previously emailed the council back in May. Very excited about the workshop that was held at that time. Still am. The fact that this plan has got more coordination and collaboration from community members than any previous plan we've seen yet for CDBG. And the fact that the players that we've got at the table are giving great input. The other thing that makes me excited about this action plan is of the 5 years going back to 2020, more money has been put into projects in this most recent plan than the other 4. And so there's some exciting things in here. And the team who put together this plan should be very proud of themselves. The city should be very proud of themselves. And it's not possible without your vote. So if you pass this and say, let's go forward with this, as is, you too should be proud of yourselves. So I'd like to say congratulations to the city of Bangor, and they're going to be putting together and using CDBG funds in a great way. So that's my thoughts on that.
Seeing no one else approach, I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Public hearing is closed.
I move passage of order 24-195.
Second.
A motion and a second. Councilors, any questions or comments on this issue? Seeing none, order 24-195 has passage.
24-196, order authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Bangor Center Management Corporation doing business as Downtown Bangor Partnership. Councilor Dean.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I move passage of order 24-196.
Second.
This order authorizes the city manager to execute a contract with the Bangor Center Management Corporation Downtown Bangor Partnership for the purpose of providing management services and administration of the development program for the Bangor Center Development District for the period of July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025. The proposed budget is $652,976.67. The revenue consists of $231,721 in Special Assessment Fund, $43,746.12 in TIF funds, and $37,500 from sponsorship, events and marketing, and anticipated additional funds requested of $340,000 for the services from Street Pros. This item was reviewed and recommended at a council workshop on May 15th, 2024.
Thank you, Councillor Dean. We have a motion. We have a second. Questions or comments on this item? Councillor Haas.
Yes, from the beginning of their first meeting with us and showing us what it is they were going to do for us, I was skeptical that this is really something that Bangor needed. It is a lot of money. Since that time, the Bangor Center Development, the Bangor Partnership, they have done a lot of different things to enhance downtown. I think the council has implemented some things that haven't been able to really tell us yet if they've been successful or not. So at this point in time, I will say I'm not going to support this, not because that it's the partnership downtown. I believe in downtown, I believe in our businesses and that we need to help them, but I think they're pretty industrious people and that they come up with some really good ideas on their own, and I'm not sure that we have to spend that kind of money to have an outsider come in. And yes, I know that if they don't do the job, we can fire them, but you kind of hate to think that you're bringing somebody in under that feeling that if they don't work, we'll let them go. I just think we can do better, and it is a lot of money, so I'm not going to be supporting this order.
Other discussion? Councillor Schaefer?
Just to echo Councillor Hawes, I have been skeptical of this before. I just don't think it's going to be the panacea that they sell themselves to be. I think they're a company that markets themselves, talking to people who live in cities where this service is actually in place. I'm not confident with it. If I am proven wrong that a guy on a bike in a polo shirt is going to solve downtown, prove me wrong. But I will also not be supporting this.
Point of information, Chair.
Yes.
As I understand, this order only authorizes our agreement for management, so they run the organization, has nothing to do with Street Plus, is that correct?
Correct. This is authorizing
Just the management of the organization.
management, correct, and we'll address the budget item issue at a future meeting. But thank you for going on record. Other discussion on this item? Councillor Fish.
I'm in support of this. Downtown is, the heart of the city, where people, when they want to visit, when people come to interview at other jobs, they want to know where is downtown, what is downtown like. And we've had issues, and I know that there have been some things over the last 2 or 3 years that have changed and been implemented. But I also think that those changes are too slow in coming to make the kind of change we need, which we need change yesterday from some of the issues that our business people are having. They've come to us for 3 or 4 or 5 years asking for this. And, yes, I've heard it works for some communities and not for others, but I think we're at a point where they need help, and it sounds reasonable to me. And I think we need to do something to help address a little more aggressively of some of the issues we have downtown. So I am in support of it, and like Council Schaefer said, hopefully, if this gets implemented and we can look down the road in a year or two, hopefully we can see it's been successful. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, do you want to do a roll call vote on this? Thank you. Councilor Blunt, sorry, sir.
You're good, no worries. So I've been in support of this for quite a long time. And The reason why I think this is going to be a good move for Bangor in the long run is because we're able to address a lot of concerns and issues that are affecting not just the entire city, but specifically the downtown, that have been thwart with a lot of businesses and individuals who have felt like their feelings and cries for help have not been heard for a very long time. And this is a program that can allow us as a city to, instead of using expensive police officers to constantly respond to crisis problems or having other city workers go away from their time in the city to respond to a tourist coming in or a citizen that has an issue. This allows for ambassadors to be on the ground to help out private enterprises, but also be a ambassador for the public as well. I think this is going to be something that is going to help promote Bangor's beauty, its destination as a travel location, and it's also going to be something that will allow us to use as another tool to help with the issues that revolve around the opioid crisis and a lot of the other issues revolving around the poverty spectrum. So I know this has had issues in other areas, but again, this isn't even something that that we should be looking at as individuals. It's become very clear over the course of years, this has only gotten popular with Bangor citizens over the years to come, and there have been more problems that have been addressed to us privately that an ambassador program can be used in a helpful way. For example, I was talking to one friend who was walking down the street and they were harassed by someone who made them feel unsafe. And fortunately, they found someone they knew in Bangor that they were able to talk to and be able to dispel the situation. But sometimes that doesn't exist. And it's not to say that all of these matters are going to be life or death situation, but again, it goes back to, am I comfortable in this city right now? And regardless of how people feel on this or not, this is something that we hear a lot from a wide variety of citizens. So I think this is a no-brainer. I think this makes a lot of sense for us to invest in as a city. And if this is something that is a service that we feel like we need to continue with more in the future, but we recognize that we don't want to continue services with Street Plus, we can continue to do that, or we can continue with the idea of implementing some more city services. But right now, we can't just keep kicking the can down the road. We have to invest in this right now. I know we have a new beat officer. I know we have a new park ranger, but our beat officer just the other week just fell into a pothole the other day. And what happens if that person is no longer able to be that beat officer? What happens if the park ranger gets sick and they're not able to fulfill their job? This is another cushion for us as a city to have. So I'll end it there, but I will be voting in favor of this.
Thank you. Again, to clarify, the order tonight is not to approve the funding for Street Plus. It's only to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with the Downtown Bangor Partnership for the upcoming year. Councilor Dean.
Well, I just want to go on record that I am also going to be approving the Street Plus program. And I know there's more to this than just that, but since it's very somewhat controversial, I just want to say that I really feel that this is a program that we can tailor to Bangor's needs. It's a program for not only the downtown business owners, but it's a program for people coming into the city. It's a program for tourists. It's a program for the unhoused. I think it can really help in a myriad of ways, and I'm very hopeful that this will be exactly what we're looking for in combination with all the other good things that we've implemented in downtown Bangor.
Roll call vote.
Councilor Dean?
Yes.
Counselor Fish?
Yes.
Counselor Fournier?
Yes.
Counselor Hawes?
No.
Counselor Leonard?
Yes.
Counselor Schaefer?
No.
Counselor Trumbull?
Yes.
Counselor Yakabaga?
Yes.
Counselor Pelletier?
Yes.
7 yes, 2 no.
Order 24-196 has passage. Next item.
24-197, order amending the schedule of fees by amending sewer rates starting July 1, 2024. Counselor Schaefer.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I move passage of Order 24-197.
Second.
This order will amend the city's schedule of fees to increase sewer rates by 3.5% beginning July 1st, 2024. The Department of Water Quality Management continues to experience operational challenges, including biosolids disposal price increases, energy and chemical cost increases, new debt service, and additional infrastructure needs. If approved, the increase will generate an additional $320,681 annually. The impact of the rate increase on a minimum user, 1,200 cubic feet, would be $3.48 per quarter, or $13.92 per year. $13.92 per year. These funds will be used to comply with state and federal environmental requirements, including the city's capacity management, operations, and maintenance, CMOM, really, it's called CMOM? Sewer System Program, and the 2015 EPA Consent Decree Phase 2 Long-Term Control Plan for abatement of combined sewer overflows. Failure to implement these programs could result in regulatory actions being taken against the city, such as fines and increased scrutiny over development. This item was reviewed and recommended at a council workshop on April 16th, 2024.
Thank you, Counselor Schaefer. We have a motion and a second. Questions or discussion? Seeing none, order 24-197 has passage. Last item.
24-198, order adopting a rental registry 2-year pilot program for long-term rentals. Counselor Leonard.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Before I read this, I just want to give a quick shout out to former Councilor Davitt. I know that she's been a big champion on this for a number of years. I'm sad to see that she's not here with us to see this go through, but I just wanted to give her a lot of credit for pushing this narrative and initiative forward. And I'm happy to make a motion on 24-198.
Second.
This pilot program would implement a registration process, strategic code enforcement, and a compliance-oriented incentive structure for the limited duration voluntary registration of long-term rentals. This would also establish the Quality Housing Provider Program to supplement registration by providing essential outreach and support services to property owners and tenants. The 2024 Annual City Council Priority Statement indicated support for designating housing as the priority for the coming year, as housing impacts every aspect of our community. Rental housing comprises over half of all dwelling units in the city, and over 50% of all residents live in rentals. The current housing market has a considerable impact on the health and well-being of our citizens and the vitality of Bangor's economy. Thus, this program aims to increase the opportunity for all to access quality housing that meets their needs and centers the city's commitment to positive housing outcomes for all residents.
Thank you, Counselor Leonard. We have a motion. We have a second. Counselor Trumbull.
Thank you. I just had a comment, a couple of questions. I think my question might be for the Economic Development Director, but, and I'm sorry I wasn't able to be at the committee meeting the other night, but we have talked about this for a long time. And even since we have begun talking about it tonight, I'm in complete agreement with the goals, the housing goals, having a quality housing provider program. The last sentence that we aim to increase the opportunity for all to access quality housing that meets their needs and centers the city's commitment to positive housing outcome for our residents. Those are all wonderful goals. But this is a few years ago, I think we had a very comprehensive, we increased the positions, and we had a very comprehensive inspection program, I think, for the rental units in the city. And now this is a limited duration voluntary program. So one, I'm not sure how I'm just not sure what the rental registration, what we're gonna accomplish, how we're gonna meet those goals with this voluntary limited duration program. I just think I'm missing something with the whole program. If somebody could help me along, you know.
Good evening.
Thanks, Ann.
Yeah. Ann Krieg, Development Director. There's a couple things that, in this pilot program that we're trying to accomplish. We're trying to establish relations with the landlord community. We had a couple of, when we were writing this pilot program, we had a couple of meetings with a bunch of the landlords, and one thing that they talked about was, that they didn't know about the different programs that the city runs, and, didn't know the types of services that we can provide to them. So during this pilot program, we're, going to be talking more with people about the block grant program, as well as asking for possible funding for, missing middle type rehab programs. So, this is a good time for us to sort of connect with that community because it's a pilot program, it's not going to be mandatory. And also, to give the ability for, energy audits and things like that. So we see this pilot program as a way to establish relations.
Thank you.
I just wanted to add some additional clarity. I think it was back 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, I think.
Pre-COVID, yeah.
Yeah, there was a large proposal to implement a rental registry that had a required inspection. That never came to fruition. So that doesn't exist. So this begins to move us in that way and makes it voluntary, and also provides an opportunity to increase and invest in the housing stock in our community, both for units that would meet a low-income modification. We can use federal funds, or as Director Krieg referred to, the missing middle, up to that 120% AMI, because we know that that's a spot where there's likely needs to be some investment, and there's no opportunity or third-party money to do that.
Oh, thank you. I would just, finish, I would just think that the people that we want to participate, the people that aren't going to participate in the volunteering program, so I don't know. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to doubt the order.
Okay, roll call vote.
Councillor Dean?
Yes.
Councillor Fish?
Yes.
Councillor Fournier?
Yes.
Councillor Hawes?
Yes.
Councillor Leonard?
Yes.
Councillor Schaefer?
Yes.
Councillor Trumbull?
No.
Councillor Yakabaga?
Yes.
Councillor Pelletier?
Yes.
8 yes, 1 no.
Order 24-198 has passage. Brings us to the end of the regular agenda for the evening. Comments from staff? Closing comments, Councillor Fish.
I want to acknowledge that June 14th is Flag Day. A number of people have mentioned it, and it is this week. And I have many relatives who have been in the military. And for me, the flag, our American flag, represents freedom. And I'm very proud of it, and I love my country, and I love my flag. But it also means freedom for everyone to fly whatever flag they choose. We live in a free country where we're lucky enough to come in and express our opinions about what we like and don't like about flags being flown, and that's what's great about America. So Friday is, I think the 14th, is that going to be Friday? Okay. So Friday's Flag Day, and I will be looking at a lot of American flags, and all the other flags that I see on that day, I'm going to acknowledge that that's what it stands for, the freedom to choose what flag we fly. So with that, good night, everybody, and thanks for coming and expressing your opinions. I appreciate it.
Councillor Haas.
Good night.
Councillor Yakabaga.
Have a good night.
Councillor Trumbull.
Yeah, I just want to mention that we, 3 of us on the council had the opportunity Friday to be out to the Guard base in Bangor. I think people in Bangor kind of take the presence of the Guard here for granted, but it's a huge part of the community. They had the Secretary of the Air Force was in town. It's the first time any Secretary of the Air Force has visited the Guard base in Bangor, so it was a pretty big deal for the Guard. And they had a number of talking points where they're trying to get the Air Force to put some different planes in Bangor. It was alarming to me to hear the wing commander say that not all National Guard bases enjoy the relationship with the whole city that this Guard base does. And one of the talking points was that they have an unparalleled relationship with the city of Bangor. And I think that started probably over 40 years ago when Councilor Dorico was the airport director, and he had been a member of the National Guard, and he really started that relationship, and it strengthened over the years, and Jose was part of that group on Friday, so I think it's gotten stronger all the time. So we've got a great relationship with the Guard. I was very glad to be part of that on Friday. Thank you. Good night.
Councilor Leonard?
I hope everyone has a good Flag Day and a good Juneteenth coming up. A lot of individuals fought for our rights that we have today, it's another day to remember the history of what this country has gone through, all the tumultuous times, but also what all those tumultuous times have created as well, and a lot of good moments as well. And I think it would be very keen for all of us to remember some of the good things that we have in our life. We are usually very quick to be doubtful and negative and self-defeating, and remember to take some time out of your day to think about things that you love. Thank you.
Councilor Fournier?
Thank you. I was going to give a little spiel on the main guard base that we went to last Friday, which was great. And just echo what Councilor Trumbull said. Good night.
Councilor Schaefer?
One little story about the guard base, and I don't know if other guard bases do this, but my husband actually was hired to accompany another city's school's ROTC program they take the kids up on a guard flight, and so he thought they'd go up and they'd fly around Bangor and Brewer and be like, oh, look, there's Brewer High School, and land, and next thing he knows, he's in North Carolina refueling, and he's shooting video, and he had to get security clearance. And so I feel like that's probably the kind of thing that maybe doesn't happen in other towns with other guard relationships. I hope our Bangor students get that too, of course. And also just to point out that there's, we talk about the year of housing, and housing is boring, really, when you get down to it. And there's 2 housing things in our agenda tonight that we passed, which is the raising the height, literally raising the roof, so that we can add more levels of housing if someone's gonna build a project. If you go to other towns and cities, you see these being built, it's gonna be great. And the rental registry. One of the things I always I don't really like when people I own a home in Bangor. I'm very fortunate to have locked myself into my own self-controlled rent control 20 years ago, and that's what basically homeownership is, right? But I don't like when people come in here and say, well, I'm a taxpayer, I pay taxes. Because when I rented, I paid my landlord's taxes in some fashion. Whatever rent I paid to my landlord, I'm sure they took a part of my money and paid their property taxes with it. So I don't like to get in that. So I'm really excited to see the rental registry so that if you come in here, you don't have to be a property owner to come and speak, that it's okay to come in here as a resident because you're paying someone's taxes somewhere. That's it. Good night.
Councilor Dean?
I could just say good night, but since everyone is speaking, I do want to say we have a lot to celebrate in June, and I'm very, very happy that we have all these wonderful celebrations and flags and different things that we can celebrate. Also, where it is June, school's getting out, so I hope you can all celebrate your children, get out and enjoy them. With Coach Quirk, he's gone now, but that brought back memories of Bangor East Little League, which is near and dear to my heart. So if you have kids out there, playing baseball, soccer, whatever it may be, just enjoy your kids, enjoy the summer. Thank you, and good night.
I was all excited about the air base tour that we went and getting to actually be inside a KC-135, which is a refueler jet, and getting to lay down in the area where they lower the boom and feel that. But now I'm really mad that I didn't get to go on a flight. Seriously though, it was an event that was attended not just by city councilors, but by state representatives, state senators. Our US Senator, Senator Collins was there, and the Secretary of the Air Force was there. And I could not have been more proud to welcome the Secretary of the Air Force to the city of Bangor on behalf of all of us. And for him to be able to see what an incredible, not only guard facility we have, but what an incredible city we have. And we're very hopeful that they will continue to send new planes and more guard folks to Bangor to have as their home base. So beyond that, congratulations to all of the many folks who graduated from high school this weekend. As you go off to do whatever's next for you, come back to Bangor. Settle down here. After you've had your adventures elsewhere, we would love to have you back, and wishing you and your families safety and much success.